Well, here I am, my feet flam as I escape.
Are you about to record guitar in the studio? Well, my name's Nick from Island Studios, and I'm going to share some basic tips with you. So first of all, the guitar itself. Now you might be happy with the guitar you usually use when you're thrashing away on stage or in the rehearsal studio in that noisy environment, but in the studio, it's like an operating theatre. It's like a sterile environment. Every noise that your fingers make, every noise the guitar makes that's a bit weird is going to come straight through to the listener's ears. So you need to make sure you've got the best tool for the job. And in fact, multiple tools for the job, so you've got some versatility. The two main things to consider are how it sounds and how it feels in your hands. So here at Island we have a selection of different guitars, starting with this Fender Telecaster. Now this has single coil pickups, which are really good for those jangly parts you might want to play. Now at the other end of the spectrum is this Epiphone Les Paul with humbucker pickups. So this is going to be better if you want like a fatter sound for rhythm playing, some chords behind that riff we just heard. The Les Paul's also good if you have smaller and sometimes fatter fingers like mine, because the scale length is actually shorter, which means that the frets essentially are a bit closer together and you don't have to stretch as far to play chords and play lead lines and things like that. Whatever guitar you use though, make sure you get it set up nicely before the session. So take it to a guitar shop that you trust, or you can even try and do it yourself. We've got a tutorial online that talks you through some basic steps, because like I said at the start, the studio is a very sterile audio environment, and whatever weird pops, bangs or other noises your guitar is making, they're going to come straight through and be heard really clearly. Same with tuning. You don't want a guitar that's going to not hold its tune properly or get cranky during the session, so you want to sort all that out before you come in here. Next up on the list, we're looking at using 2 amps or more to get a good sound. Just like we wanted flexibility with our guitar choices, we also want flexibility with our amp choices in the studio. And that means rather than just using 1 amp, it's good to actually use 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 or however many you want to use. Maybe not that many. But the basic principle is to set up amps with different sounds that you can blend together later to your taste. Here today we've got a Fender Blues Deluxe and a Vox AC4, which will blend really nicely together. These are 2 amps we've got here at Island Studios. Now right now the Fender is set up to have a clean sound. But if we bring in the Vox as well by hitting this button, we add a grittier sound, which is what the Vox is set up to do. So have a listen to this together. So now what you can do is you can record your guitar part in the studio, and then when it comes time to mix the song, you can blend the 2 amps together as you desire. You might want it to be on the clean side or on the dirty side, and basically you can make up your mind later, well after you've recorded the part. Blending them together also means you get the attack of the clean amp and the sustain and crunch and compression of the dirty amp, and you can't really get that if you have one or the other on its own. So that sounds a bit like this. So with that, you get the nice attack of each note, but you get that crunch and sustain of the dirty amp as well, blended together. So you get plenty of sparkle. Have you got a gigantic mothership-sized pedal board? You want to be careful with that in the studio. Our third tip is to be careful with what effects you're going to use in the studio. So as you can see here, we do have our standard issue enormous pedal board. And what might surprise you is that actually in the studio, I'm only likely to use probably about 3, maybe 4 of these pedals maximum. Pedals are great in the studio to give you different drive sounds, you know, distortion, stuff like that. But what you want to be careful with is using stuff like modulation, so choruses, phasers, reverbs as well, delays, things that you're going to play with and not be able to adjust later after you've nailed that take. For example, and then when you're listening back in the control room later, you're like, Why does that sound so wet and unusable? That's because you recorded it with so much reverb on your pedal board and you didn't wait till later to sort out how much reverb you actually wanted in post-production. So unless you love a particular effect on your pedal board so much that you're ready to commit to it and not be able to adjust it later, you want to err on the side of caution. Whoa! Here's a quick tip for you. If you're going to use a capo when you record, make sure you tune to the capo, so with the capo on. Don't tune your guitar with the capo off and then put the capo on, or it's going to sound wonky as. Here's what I mean. So unless that guitar part is the only instrument on the track, you're going to be in big trouble. Last on the list is to bring your voice as well as your guitar to the session. Whether you want it bright, dark, fat, thin, twangy, warm, whatever it might be, talk to your engineer because they'll know what tricks to do with the microphones and with the EQing and with even the placement of the amp in the room potentially to get you the sound that you're looking for.